Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. I almost said championship, but that's important too.
Americans.
Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven, accompanied by Queen Taylor, and today we're going to be taking a look at another Soccer Explained for Americans. It's football, right? So European, it's in quotes, Soccer Explained for Americans. So football, explained to Americans. Because we watched one video previously, and it was basically European football or just football. Again, titles of the videos that we watched in 4 easy steps. And I actually walked away from that video with more questions than I had answers.
Yeah.
Coming from an American's perspective who's never really dug into football at all, my brain kept like doing a comparison, looking at the similarities, trying to figure it out. And I'm hoping that this video that we're about to do, the On Deck Circle video, will kind of help me, understand the whole league system, from the leagues to the championship football tournaments. I hope to really button that up. I want to know why.
And I think there's also club leagues.
Yeah.
That's different, maybe.
Yeah, and the way that they work in seasons. Like, I really want all that to be kind of fleshed out. Because that's something that I think I'm still missing. Also, the core mechanic, the gameplay of it, because there was a lot of strategy that we were hearing about, and like, how you have left fielders and all that in other sports. I want to know more of the names of the positions of what the players are doing. Like, is there a forward in football? Like, what's that position called? And the other thing I want to know, I get that it's a fan favorite, but more about the culture. I want to know more about the culture. And it looks like this video, the On Deck Circle, European Soccer Explained for Americas, is going to do just that. It's 19 minutes long. So you guys get yourself some popcorn and let's see how much we can digest. Because I tell you what, we have a new video from LeBrenton that we're going to watch. It's about the Liverpool 2019 comeback from Barcelona. And then they played, I think, Tottenham Hotspur in the finals. And that was supposed to be an iconic, legendary time. So, yeah, I want to learn up about it so I can have more appreciation for that video. And I feel like this is a lot for someone who doesn't watch football regularly. But I'm trying, and I want to. I think it'd be really cool because I don't like any American sports.
It's more fun to watch if you understand it better. And we want to get into actually watching. So we're trying to learn it.
Because we have a bunch of people in our community that live, eat, sleep, breathe, die for football. And I'm like, I don't get it. And I want to get it. I want to watch their stuff. I want to be, I want to have a team,
Yeah.
But all right, you guys, let's hop on over the video and let's see what we got. I hate watching soccer. They have to bring the stretcher out.
Wanting to start following.
What?
You started it a little late.
Yeah.
It was like already about to leave before you started reading it. They have to bring this stretcher out at least 6 times a game.
That's intense. That's awesome.
Overheard in a bar in America.
So I've been wanting to start following soccer for a while now, but as an American, I always found it complicated. Not like how they play. Most 3-year-olds can kind of understand more or less how it works. I just mean how everything kind of works in Europe. I would follow the World Cup, and I'd root for the United States if they made it. And then I'd root for Iceland because clearly they've all been practicing that clapping, and they're really good at it. But that only happens once every 4 years. So I turn on my TV, and it would be like a random game, like Parma versus Bologna. And first I'd make sure that I wasn't watching the Food Network, but then I had no frame of reference for this game. Like, are these teams good? Is this a big game? Which one of these guys is Pele? I didn't know. And I had all these other questions, why are teams getting kicked out of leagues? Why are they all rolling around on the ground so much? How are guys getting traded to different countries? And why does everybody...
So I do want to...
men singing about bubbles. Is that the I'm forever blowing bubbles?
I'm forever blowing bubbles.
So the regulation part. So that's another thing that I couldn't seem to wrap my head around was the league regulations where... Because in a league... the same, I kind of think of it like divisions in football. So like the same country or the same one country will have different football teams, if I'm understanding correctly. And they'll play each other multiple times, and whoever like has the most wins, which for us they would go to like a finals or something. Like in basketball, it's the finals, or they have in football, I think it's like the road to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But like a division match, a league match, and then they go into the Super Bowl for football, American football. But here they constantly, like the lowest one gets pushed out, like a demotion, and they get kicked out of the league and to a lower league, I should say.
Yeah, and then that league has teams that play, and then the highest points bump back up
into another league. So
yeah, it's definitely very different to wrap your brain around a little bit.
So I'm hoping he goes into it. I really like the fact that this is an American explaining it for Americans.
Yeah,
right?
because it's good coming from, like, say, a British person, but it's also like ingrained in them a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, you're usually your family's fans of the sport, so you grow up being fans. So it's almost expected of us to get it right away. And it's like, you're so dumb. It's very easy, but it's something completely new and different. So it's nice because it's more like layman's terms and teaching you a bit more when you're like more clueless about it.
And again, the terminology I need, it's like seeing a sheet of acronyms and it's like, what does AC mean? Access control. Okay. Whoever gets that reference.
And I had all these other questions, why are teams getting kicked out of leagues? Why are they all rolling around on the ground so much? How are guys getting traded to different countries? And why does everybody in the stands have a scarf? So a few months ago, I tried to start figuring it all out, and I started watching some matches. That's the first thing. They aren't soccer games. They are football matches. And I bought FIFA for my Xbox, and I bought a scarf and a vuvuzela because that's like the rules or something. So anyway, this is all the info that I wish I'd known a year ago. This is my crash course of translating soccer into American. I'm going to assume that you kind of know the rules. The biggest difference between American sports is how offsides works and the clock. Lots of people get upset about the clock. It goes up instead of down. Get over yourself. It doesn't really matter. Americans also get mad because the clock doesn't stop and games pretty much end whenever the ref feels like it. And you actually adjust to this pretty quickly. The game's an hour and a half long. You'll have your chances to score. And if you can't score, then it's not the clock's fault. Some people, and when I say people, I'm referring both to discussions I've had with other Americans as well as like myself 6 years ago. So people think soccer is too slow. And when Americans look at a soccer field, something in our minds, we think that it's like playing hockey or playing basketball just on a big grass field. And in those sports, guys like go full tilt a lot, like most of the game. So when two players are just standing there passing the ball back and forth, we wonder, like, why aren't they trying to move forward? Just go. And on the other side, we expect the defenders to be attacking the guy with the ball rather than just standing 5 feet back and letting him do what he's doing. The key difference is that football pitches are much larger than basketball courts and hockey rinks. And if you tried a full court press for the whole soccer game, you would be exhausted and you would probably lose. See,
I actually like that he did that. He put the scale.
Fields are much
more or less to scale.
To scale.
Football pitches are much larger than basketball courts and hockey.
So even if you imagined this isn't more or less to scale, right? Even if it was just a quarter of the field.
Yeah.
That is
you could fit like 9 or 12 of those in there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And I like how he's breaking it out into like, the pitches and the clock going, not necessarily stopping at 90 minutes exactly, but like maybe it's whoever has possession. It's after their possession, the game's over.
Yeah.
But he says at the discretion of the refs. So
hockey rinks. And if you tried a full court press for the whole soccer game, you would be exhausted and you would probably lose. See, the pace of a soccer game is actually much closer to baseball. Most of the game is going to consist of guys just slowly passing the ball around, real peaceful, and then it's going to be all of a sudden followed by these short bursts of extremely fast action. Basketball players, it's estimated, run an average of 2.5 miles during a game. Soccer players can run 7, if not 10 miles during one game.
Wow.
And remember, you only have 3 subs a game, so most of these players will be playing the whole game. One thing Americans will appreciate is that other than halftime, there are no commercials.
You only get 3 subs a game. So there's 11 players, right? Is that right?
I believe so.
11 per team. So that means 3 total per game. So say 4 of your players got hurt. You only get to replace 3 of them? Is that how you're taking that?
I'm taking it as there's 3 subs for each position.
Okay. That was what I first thought, but then I was like,
because there's no way. It'd have to be that way. Because like to your point, if they only just had 3 subs for the entire team, then that one person would have to play each position equally well. And so I think it's more along the lines of each position has
That's
a
true.
sub, up to 3 subs. So like and they probably circulate it. They do that a lot in football. Like you'll have your first string, second string, third string players in and out, so that your top player, the one that's making millions of dollars on the field, he's there for the big moments.
Yeah. Well, that's what I initially thought, but there was something I can't remember now that he said that made me think that's not what it was. So okay.
So it's like the anti-NFL, which is great. It also means that no matter where the ball is, both teams are always potentially about 30 seconds away from scoring, which creates this kind of constant tension. It also creates a scenario where you can't ever really run to the bathroom or get a drink. Soccer players seem to have a reputation for being lazy in the U.S. because they don't always pop right back up after going to ground and get right back into play. Certainly some players do embellish things and some go over the top, but I don't really think that on the whole it's quite the issue that people make it out to be. So they get made fun of in Europe too. So here's a fun experiment to try the next time you have a few minutes. Go to like a local field and then quickly jog laps around that field for like 10 minutes. And then suddenly sprint down the middle of the field as fast as you can. And when you're halfway up the field, while you're still sprinting, have one of your friends just shove you over onto the ground. And if you can pop right back up and keep sprinting, then you can keep complaining about those guys.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, they're just taking a little rest. And everyone will either just keep playing around them, or both teams will be a little tired, so who cares? It's not a Matthew Riley novel out there. The other reason for guys slowly passing the ball around is that one of the strategies currently employed by most teams is to maintain possession as much as possible. Obviously, this is no different in American football or why Russia is really good at hockey. The other team can't score when you have the ball. So teams will just pass the ball back and forth and even pass it back to their own goalie because it's better to go backwards with the ball than to maybe make a risky pass and let the other team have the ball.
Makes sense.
On occasion, you'll see a team make like 50 passes without the other team touching the ball, which can take a really long time, but then they'll go down and they'll score, and that's like as good as it gets. It's all about waiting for the precise moment for things to align and then all going together at the right moment. In terms of like positioning and formations, you'll usually have 3 or 4 numbers, like 4-4-2 or 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. These numbers will always add up to 10, and then the goalie is just assumed. Different positions include the center backs, who just stay as defenders, and then the full backs are both the left and the right back, who will defend, but then they'll also usually join the attack as well. And then we have midfielders, like a center midfielder, who can go both ways, a center attacking midfielder or a center defending midfielder. And then up front, we have like a left wing and a right wing, sometimes a center forward, and a striker up front it's his job to just score goals. One thing I'll mention that makes it easy to kind of get into soccer is that you can legally watch some old matches on YouTube. This is unlike American sports. Like, why isn't there a website that I can go to watch any game, like an iTunes for sports? So like I can pay $2 to watch any game in history. Like all these games are on tape somewhere. They exist. But I can't watch a game in the 1986 World Series unless an international pandemic shuts down the world and there's no sports. And they just happen to put it on NBC or something. Like, come on. So anyway. So keeping the ball and attacking is referred to.
So that's interesting because, like, yeah, how would you, if there's like, something that we want to watch, if it's not, how would we watch that game? like if one of our Patreon members is just like, hey, you know, my team's playing tonight, you know, how would that be broadcasted all the way over to here?
Yeah, I don't know.
How would we be able to see if we can't see it on TV? I don't even know if you could just regularly watch.
I mean, maybe that'll show on. I mean, if it's a big enough game, maybe
Yeah.
it'd be on TV here. How do you say? I always want to say it one way, and I think I pronounce it incorrectly. He said it at the beginning, but now I don't know if the way I say it, the way he said it is the way I say it, or vice versa. So is it FIFA or FIFA?
It's FIFA.
FIFA. Okay, so I think I always called it FIFA.
It's FIFA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe something like big.
Yeah.
It would be televised here, because I know there are matches televised here, or at least there used to be, because I had a resident when I worked in the nursing home that was Italian, and he was a massive, massive football fan, and he watched matches all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I'm trying to think of like NBC, ABC, ESPN, and I don't think you'd have better chance of getting like golf or something, you know, match, or even a pool, or like a pool league thing going on than soccer.
True.
They do show highlights, but like only if it's a big enough thing to make, I guess, the news. But
yeah, so if you have any tips and tricks on how we can watch some, then let us know.
I think we could probably, I think I have a solution that involves Discord and our buddies.
I was gonna say we'll just have a watch party with our Discord members and
that's exactly
tell them
right.
to pull it up.
I do like that they explained. So my question about the striker, though, I liked how he brought up the positions a little bit about like the left and right backs, the defensive backs, the center, and then the forward, the wings, the left and right wing, and then you had the striker. Is the striker like the most important? Like, are those, because you always hear like people making $500 million, or it's almost like the star players.
I mean, he said they're the ones that score, so.
But is that the only person that scores? Could the wing score?
I think. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think anybody can score.
I would think
It'd
so.
It'd be really silly for them to be like, only him.
And I don't want that to sound like a dumb question. It's like, I don't know. I understand that like you're trying to get it to the striker as much as possible, right? But if the scenario comes up, you need to have your wings, or even one of your
because really,
middle.
Why would you be in that position?
Because
like maybe you're the best at getting goals, so they're like, give it to him. But if you can't, you can do it, type thing.
Yeah, maybe. But
then
the player's
I feel like
discretion.
everybody would always go after the striker, knowing that
they're the striker.
That's the position.
Because we have, like in basketball, Steph Curry's a forward, and they would try to give him the ball, but it's like pretty lenient. Like it goes, all the people can score, right? So
yeah, I don't really follow sports at all. So
all right, let's continue with strategy.
As positive football, you're always trying to move forward. This is what most teams do. This is what people like to watch a little more. It's kind of exciting. It's more exciting to watch that way. But of course, there's always a yin to the yang. So the yin is this guy named Jose Mourinho. And he basically says, I don't want the ball. I'm going to stand back with my players in front of my goal, and you're not going to score. And then every once in a while, when you're falling asleep and all your players are up in my zone, we're going to steal the ball and we're going to run down and score, which sounds a little bit risky, except that it actually does work if you do it well. Jose's considered one of the best managers there is, and he has the trophies to back it up. He's won plenty of big tournaments with teams that I'm told if you tried to have that team keep the ball the whole time, like most coaches would, they would have been destroyed. They were too old and they just would have got worn out and wiped out. But by playing this negative defensive strategy, they were able to win. And despite this, teams that employ this strategy seem to get a bad rap for playing negative as opposed to positive football, because keeping the ball seems to be the in thing right now. So obviously there's more thought that goes into it than I've described here. Like Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid has been using this negative strategy for years, and they've been successful with it. On the flip side, the guys who've risen to the top playing possession football are also widely sought after. Two of the most well-known coaches right now are Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola. And I highly recommend watching the series All or Nothing about Manchester City on Amazon Prime. It's about Guardiola's team a few years ago. And it's quite clear from interviews with these guys that they're quite thoughtful and well-traveled. I couldn't name a single baseball manager who can speak 3 languages. So speaking of Manchester City, they play in England. There are 4 main football countries in Europe. There's England, Spain, Germany, and Italy. England has the Premier League, Spain has La Liga, Germany has the Bundesliga, and Italy has Serie A. So to take one country, they're all the same, but to take one country, England, the Premier League consists of 20 teams. Every team plays every other team, once at home and once away, and these leagues don't have playoffs. You get 3 points for a win, 1 for a tie. The team with the most points at the end of the season wins. And this can and has come down to the final day of the season before. In the U.S., our leagues pretty much have the same teams every year. So if you suck, and even if you start to lose on purpose, you actually get rewarded with the top draft pick the next year. If you finish in last place in one of these leagues, they literally kick you out of the league. But they call it relegation because that's a nicer sounding word. Before we keep going, here's a quick aside on the MLS. Major League Soccer is the top league in the United States. It's different in many ways than the European leagues. There's no relegation, so the teams do stay the same from year to year, and there is a salary cap. Talent-wise, I guess globally speaking, it seems to be an okay league, but certainly not on par with any of the European leagues. So under the Premier League, which is at the top, under them is a league called the English Football League Championship. The 3 teams who finish at the bottom of the Premier League are relegated to the Championship for the next season and replaced by 3 teams from the Championship.
Pause.
The bottom 3 teams.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to process.
Just back it up.
Yeah.
So this is just talking about the MLS. Doesn't matter. No one's going to watch American soccer.
Right.
Anyways, they already have a salary cap. So like even like good American, football players, they'll probably go somewhere else where they can make that kind of money, and it's just probably not as enjoyable.
No, probably not.
And it's funny because he said they're okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, yeah, you're okay. I know that we're about to have the championship league or game in America, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting. I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to learn as much as we can now.
Yeah.
The salary cap.
Okay.
Talent-wise, I guess globally speaking, it seems to be an okay league, but certainly not on par with any of the European leagues. So under the Premier League, which is at the top, under them is a league called the English Football League Championship.
So that's what, if you're in Premier League and you're in one of those 20 teams, you would go to the second league, which is the EFL Championship.
If you are getting kicked out, if you're on the bottom.
If you're on the bottom.
Okay.
So if you're the 20th, you go down a step. It makes more sense if you look over at like Germany or something.
Oh yeah, A or B, A and B or 1 and 2.
Yeah. So you just drop, even Spain's, right? So you drop out of that, and then the EFL Championship, whoever was the best team gets promoted
back to Premier League.
Into Premier League.
Yeah.
Or back if they've fallen out of Premier League before.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like a revolving constant thing.
So it's a second one. So they already have, so what'd you say, 20 teams in Premier League?
Yeah.
Okay, so say EFL Championship has 15, whatever the number is.
I think
so they've already got that many, and then they also get we'll call them the scraps from the Premier League as well.
Yeah, so
it's not just the scraps.
It's the bottom team of the Premier League. So let's say if
Just
you ranked
team.
them out of 20 and number 20 had out of points, let's say points is like 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get demoted. The best person in EFL has 84 points. They're going to get promoted to play amongst the Premier League, which is supposedly the best teams for that, country.
So I thought EFL Championship was just, so out of the 20 teams, say
It's a
they
league.
keep 15. So they kick out the lowest 5, the 5 with the lowest points. So those 5 then go to EFL Championship and play to see who gets the most points. And then that one team goes back to Premier League is what I thought was
I
happening
don't know.
there.
Let's see if you want me to back up leagues all the way so that.
No, I think it's okay. I don't think that's going to help me.
Okay. Here, back up.
Under them is a league called the English Football League Championship.
You might
The
explain it.
3 teams who finish at the bottom of the Premier League are relegated to the
Oh,
Championship
3.
for the next
Okay.
season and replaced by 3 teams from the Championship.
Okay,
The bottom 3
okay.
teams in Championship are relegated to League 1. The bottom 3 in League 1 are relegated to League 2, whose losers go to the National League, whose losers are... nobody really cares about them except their moms at this part, but you get the idea.
What
Unless
else? Okay. I'm following now.
So if
I
you,
think I was overcomplicating in my head.
yeah,
Shocker, I know.
so if you're down here, your objective if you're a national team, you're just basically the high school team, college team, whatever, and you're playing around in this national league. You want to go to League 2, and then from League 2 go to League 1.
Yeah.
Then build your way all the way up to Premier League.
Yep.
Nobody really cares about them except their moms at this part, but you get the idea.
Except their
Unless
moms.
you really get into soccer, you'll never hear about anything below the Premier League again. But just so you're aware of what's happening down there. This system does a few things. First off, just because you're near the bottom of the standings, your games can still be extremely important. They still count because you're not trying to win the league anymore, but now you're trying to literally stay in the league. And the higher the league you're in, the higher the check you get from TV contracts. So it's kind of a big deal. It also creates this kind of theoretical meritocracy where you could start a team with a bunch of guys anywhere in the country, get into a kind of a tiny league, and then ultimately work your way up to the Premier League. In reality, that'd be like trying to take a single A baseball team and work your way up to the majors, while the other better teams with bigger pocketbooks are trying to buy all your best players the whole way. But for the teams at the top, just winning the Premier League sounds pretty easy. You're playing maybe 1 game a week. But that's the catch. There's other things going on here. So there's also the Carabao Cup, which is a tournament open to the top 4 leagues in England. And then there's the FA Cup, which has been going on since like forever, that it's literally open to every team in England. So over 700 teams entered this one tournament last year. Like, imagine if every major and minor league baseball team had one giant tournament. So could any team win? Yes, they could. Will the small teams upset the bigger teams? At some point, maybe a few will. But is it likely that a non-Premier League team is going to win? No, probably not. So more fun to think about in theory than practically, I guess. The final tournament is the big one. Like, what if we could find the best team in Europe? And I don't mean like each country gets a team. That's the European Championship that happens every 4 years. This, I'm talking about the league clubs. So the best teams from all over Europe, from 55 different countries, battle it out each year. This is the UEFA Champions League. So as a side note on these acronyms here, FIFA is the organization that runs like big international tournaments like the World Cup. And they help to coordinate things across different regions. If you're an American, you probably heard of FIFA because somebody on SportsCenter mentioned somebody that was involved with some kind of corruption investigation or something.
I'll say FIFA from the FIFA soccer games or football games that they have. It's
Like
FIFA.
video games?
Video games, yeah. Video games.
I've never heard it actually said. I've seen it in places like video games, but I've never heard it out loud. That's why I wasn't sure if it was FIFA or FIFA.
And I will say the FIFA games are awesome. And I think that's like one window that most Americans get into football at all. Like, I think video games is doing justice for American kids because it's a good game, you know? It's got a lot of microtransactions in it, which is really unfortunate, but that's for another topic.
Anyway, within FIFA, the world is divided into 6 different regions. UEFA is Europe. That's where like the best players go. CONCACAF, you may have heard of because that's what the U.S. is in, the Confederation of North, Central American, and Caribbean Association Football, which is short and sweet. And then there's like the rest of the world. And each one of these groups has tournaments with national teams and their league clubs, like the CONCACAF Champions League and the UEFA Champions League. And these are called like the Champions League, but really it's just a tournament. So the UEFA Champions League is played in conjunction with the UEFA Europa League, which is kind of like the NCAA and NIT basketball tournaments, but with a bit of a twist. They play the qualifying rounds for the Champions League first. So if you get knocked out of the big boy tournament, but you finish high enough, you can just move down into the Europa League and try to win that. And I won't get into the qualifying, but typically you're going to have teams that you may have heard of as an American, like Manchester City, Liverpool, Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur. From Spain, they'd probably be Barcelona and Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. Serie A from Italy, we'll have Juventus and Inter and Roma and Atalanta. Germany is pretty much dominated by Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich. And then there's other popular teams like Paris Saint-Germain from France and Lyon from France and Ajax from the Netherlands. And then you throw in a few Russian teams and you're ready to party. So back to the Premier League. You remember how your team's playing that standard 38-game schedule. So now, also at the same time, you're competing in the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, and the Champions League. And there's like a bunch of other small one-off games happening too.
Sorry,
Yes.
I feel like I yelled that. I didn't mean to. Back it up like 10 to 15. Yeah, go right there.
So now, also at the same time, you're competing in the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, and the Champions League.
So you're in all those at once?
Yeah.
Each team is in all those at once.
I mean, I can imagine they're doing like a couple of things a week. You know, you'll have your Premier League match during the week. You'll also be competing. You'll have another one. So let's say these are like 3 or 4 games a week, I would imagine. I don't think like in Premier League, you're every day you have a match with another team. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Every team will be in the Champions. Yeah, I feel like I need
a schedule.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what to call it. I'm thinking of like mind mapping from when I work on a project and I mind map. So, you know, one of those, it like goes like this, then it has the thing that's like this, and then this goes over here. I need like
one of those.
One of those, like a map essentially to point out where things happen with what, because it's processing it as they say it is a little bit confusing.
All right.
I'm just getting lost in the sauce a little.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot to absorb. And I think we just have to, you know, after this video, after we kind of get comments in this video, kind of fleshing all this out, I think it's time to watch a game, baby.
Yeah, that might help, honestly.
I think that might help. And then
I need like a visual map, I think, or just go into a game and watch and then see. I mean, obviously it's not going to get this part of that down for me, but.
And we could hop in a Discord call, just get in a voice chat and just talk to our buds about it.
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of other small one-off games happening too. So even if you have the best team, you're still probably not going to win all these tournaments just because of the wear and tear. If you can win 3 trophies in a year, that's like special. That's called a treble. If you win 4, that's called a quadruple, but that's pretty rare. And so the biggest payday is for winning your league, although I, for some reason, find the Champions League is hard to beat for excitement. So even though you can, soccer teams tend to trade players less than they do in the U.S. Rather, teams will just buy players from their current club. So a contract is going to include your salary, obviously, but also something called a release clause, which is a fee that would go to the current club for that player. So while any team could negotiate a transfer fee with a player's current club, a release clause takes that current team just out of negotiations altogether. So a baseball player, unhappy with the situation, he could demand a trade, and they might trade him and he'd be happy. But if they refuse to trade him, then he's kind of stuck. Whereas a soccer player could just find another team willing to pay that release clause. And once a team agrees to pay the clause, then they can just negotiate directly with that player. Obviously, the better player, the higher the fee is going to be, so the current club can go out and find a reasonable replacement. Another big difference is that while most sports in the U.S. have a trade deadline, and that's followed by a few weeks afterward where players cannot move to another team, soccer's kind of the opposite. So most of the time, you cannot move to another team. There are 2 periods a year called transfer windows that you can move during. So usually before and then halfway through the season. And you could sign a new contract for another team whenever, but you can't actually start playing for them until that next transfer window. And the last thing in terms of contracts is that in the U.S., most leagues have a draft, but soccer is pretty much like the Wild West. So teams will sign players, or I should say kids, like into their youth academy very young, like 10, 8 years old. And smaller teams who find a really good player could also include something called a sell-on clause when selling a player to a larger team that says if the team buying that player turns around and sells the player again to an even bigger club, then that original team will get a percentage of that secondary sale. All right, so if you're still here at this point, you probably want more. So what's next? There are like an unlimited number of top or best goal compilations on YouTube, which are kind of interesting in the sense that you can actually show, new people to soccer, the potential that the game has. Lots of Americans' exposure to soccer is like the Women's World Cup, and obviously we have a great team there, but you never really get to see what different strategies look like. Like, look up Barcelona tiki-taka videos. You won't regret that. They make grown men look like children. As I mentioned, the All or Nothing series on Man City is great if you have Amazon Prime. And obviously just watching games is good. FIFA TV has a YouTube channel that has lots of international matches.
Okay.
Or just look on YouTube for full football matches. You're smart, you'll find them. UEFA TV has old Champions League matches. I think you might have to register, but it's free. You probably want to follow BR's football channel on YouTube. They have a lot of good stuff, including this very funny series called The Champions, which I'd probably wait a little bit until you learn a little more about the top players before watching that. One place I always turn to when trying to learn a new sport is video games. So FIFA would probably help. Although the big caveat there is that it has horrible reviews. That said, if you're just trying to learn the rules, like basic tactics and which players are on which teams and who plays where, I would say it's been pretty helpful for me. Most of the negativity toward the game is for the online, the FIFA Ultimate Team mode, where you end up paying for players for your team. But if you just avoid that and then stick to playing against the AI, then you should be okay. The only thing I hesitate to do is play as Barcelona because you could control Leo Messi. And who am I to tell God what to do? So I usually avoid that part. The alternative here, it would be a game called Pez, which I've heard good things about, although it doesn't have licensing for many of the teams. So jerseys will look different and team names will be slightly off, which I guess might be confusing to someone new. And I think FIFA's player faces are a bit more recognizable too. News-wise, there's coverage everywhere of soccer, although I do enjoy the site onefootball.com. Which brings us to the sponsor of today's video, which is, there's no sponsor for today's video. I just make these videos to push the boundaries of PowerPoint and see how mad I can make myself. Anyway, hopefully that helps somewhat. You're now ready to venture off beyond the coasts of the United States and become an even bigger soccer fan. Just if you're leaving the U.S., call it football. They get mad if you call it soccer.
Yeah, you know
anyway,
that.
Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for watching.
That was fun.
That was fun. I love, what this also brought me back to is the early days of YouTube where PowerPoints were really videos, This was a guy just going through a PowerPoint slide, deck and just explaining.
I appreciate
football.
that you put this together because I think it helped a lot for me at least.
Yeah.
I'm still on the leagues and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, I need a map or something just to visually see it all in one place to fully grasp it. But this definitely helped. I have far less questions than I did before we did this video. I also really appreciate the humor that he put into it.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes my brain gets very overloaded, especially when we do a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's different.
It's different. It's very different than if we were to watch this on our own.
Yeah.
So the humor that he put into it kind of helped break that up a little bit for me. So I felt like I could be okay, I can breathe a little bit again. Now my brain has a little bit more space to kind of comprehend this a little bit. So that was really enjoyable. And I also liked that he put in where we could learn more and where we could watch, because we talked about where we were going to be able to watch a match. And so that was nice.
This is a good video. I liked it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just kind of repetitioning these kind of videos.
Yeah.
And we're getting it from different angles and hearing it from, because one of the best sources. So yes, we could watch these on our own, but the best source of information, I guess you have to kind of be a YouTuber, I don't know, is the comments section.
Yep.
And I really recommend that, like, even on this video, if you just read the comments in the comment section, we get a lot of information on ours, and I really appreciate you guys, trying to help us, watch our video and see where we've had issues, or, where we can shore up some things. I've learned a lot up to this point. So starting from 0, mind you, to where we are today, I think we're like, because even in our first video, I wouldn't have recommended for myself to watch a football game yet.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like,
I think we still have a bit to go. I think, obviously we don't have everything down pat, but yeah, I think we've come a long ways. I think I could watch a match and
be entertained,
be able to, and be able to follow along a little bit more. Before I would have been like, okay,
let's be done.
I don't know.
And I will say the beauty of football video that we watched from LeBrenton, and I think it was a very well done. And I know a lot of people were like, well, it was one-sided,
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. It was a well done video for someone who's not at all into football to still appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that video inspired me and wanted me to go on this journey to try to learn, because this is a topic of interest that I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for that video. Because the passion in that was crazy. And it's like, I don't love anything enough, like, I don't like anything enough, but like, that video made me made me want it. Right.
Yeah.
But all right, you guys, that is our time. Leave down in the comments what you thought. Help us out answer any of the questions that we had.
Let us know who your team is.
Let us know who your team is, please. Even though it might, let us know.
Don't fight each other in the comments.
Yeah, be civil, please.
But we're shopping for a team.
Yeah. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.